Laura Bonnell, and this is the Living with Cystic Fibrosis podcast coming to you from Detroit. Please subscribe and even rate and comment on our podcasts when it moves you. I learn something new with every podcast, and I'm always inspired by the people that are showcased here. We don't give medical advice. You need to connect with your doctor for that. I hope that this Living with Cystic Fibrosis podcast educates you and sparks some volunteering or advocacy. The CF community needs people like you. Thanks to our sponsors, Viatris and Vertex, for their support. Inka Nisinbaum was born with cystic fibrosis, and her prognosis, the prognosis that was given to her parents, was about 4 years old, so bad that they decided not to put a birth announcement in the paper because they weren't sure how long she was going to live. So very traumatic for her parents, and I mean, I know so many people can relate to this. Inka's memoir, The Anomaly, follows her journey through survival of organ transplant and so many challenges that we're going to talk about. And she undergoes one of the most complex types of transplants and battled chronic rejection and fights for every breath along the way. Her extraordinary story, she is going to share with you. And she built a life that includes marriage, running a half marathon, and moving from Germany to the United States and everything that comes in between that. In the book, she alludes to everything that happened, and that was one question that remains, as she writes: can she become a mother? And we will answer that question in this podcast. I am so glad everyone gets to meet you and we get to talk because, yay, I have the book, The Anomaly. Loved it. And honestly, we're going to talk about this a little bit more, but I want to get people into your journey first. So many thoughts on this. The first thing I guess we should do is just say hello. Welcome.
Hi, Laura. Hi, everybody else.
So glad. And so we'll kind of start talking about your journey and weave in the book and everything about it as well. But of everything I've learned about you and the information you sent me, so you were 22 years old when you had that rare double lung and liver transplant.
I was 22 when I got listed, and when I got the transplant, I was 23. Yes.
So that's a long time to wait.
Yeah, 15 months.
So tell us about that period in your life.
I got listed for my transplant because of cystic fibrosis. And I first thought, well, I knew kind of that I needed a liver because I had this ascites, the big swollen belly. Anyway, I knew I needed a liver, and I thought that's going to be it. And when I met the doctors, they told me they cannot just transplant the liver and not the lungs, because first my lungs were also not very good. But they said once I'm transplanted, I have to take immune suppressive medication, and then all the bacteria and fungus and all the stuff I had in my lungs would have exploded and would have basically damaged my lungs directly after. So that's why the doctor said we needed a double lung liver transplant. And I waited 15 months for the transplant. I have to say, well, first I was a very impatient waiter.
Of course, who wouldn't be, right?
Yeah, and I think the main point is, if somebody would have told me, Inka, you have to wait 15 months, then I would have been like, okay, I have to wait 15 months. But you don't know, right? You don't know. Is it tomorrow? Is it in a year? Is it in a week? You just don't know. First, from the medical point of view, it was very hard. I was very, very sick. I mean, I waited, can I say that in pounds? Yeah, I think I weighted 77 pounds was my lowest weight, and I'm 5'6". Yeah, it was really just surviving day by day, physically and also mentally. So, it was just plain awful.
In that chapter, when you're talking about that, and you said that someone thought you were pregnant, and it was because of your liver, and just the whole part where you're talking about you're just expecting to die, and that conversation you had with your mother. I mean, it's just heartbreaking and understandably heavy because it's literally life and death.
Yeah, I prepared myself. I prepared myself for a second chance. I wrote like a little list what I thought I would want to do if I get a second chance. But I also wrote my last will, kind of. I mean, I went through all my stuff and thought like, okay, this friend might like, I don't know, these things of me. So I gave stuff to my friends. I was kind of prepared for both. And I have to say, at the end of the waiting time, I just wanted it to be over. Seriously, I just wanted to get the call and then either make it or not make it. But I was just like, I didn't want it to wait anymore.
What got you through those 15 months?
That's a good question. So first, as far as I was able to, I was trying to keep busy. I think it was at the beginning of my waiting time. My dad still took me places. We did like little excursions. And then towards the end, I don't think I really had a good coping mechanism. I know I met once with a psychologist to see what I can do, but yeah, everything that I was doing, like I was crafting and I was watching TV a lot and useless things, but she also didn't have any other ideas. So yeah, it was just small things to keep me busy, but I think my coping was not very good. I just stubbornly stayed awake and made probably the people around me miserable because I was miserable. Yeah. And I kind of
Yeah.
had a routine, a very lame routine. We went to the physiotherapy. I moved a little bit. Then we went home. Then I watched Gilmore Girls. I watched a lot of Gilmore Girls at that time. And yeah. And then there was nothing much I did. Just
You were getting through, and you got through it. You did get through it. And then how many years later was it in 2019 you had lung rejection again?
yeah, that was in 2019. And I was then transplanted 17 years. Yeah, almost, but like 16 years. Yeah, that was pretty bad. I mean, I had a few obviously setbacks throughout my life with my transplanted organs, and a few of them were scary. But that was especially scary because first I didn't expected it to happen like 16 years after your transplant. And it was like, yeah, I got sick, I think. And then I lost, 1 liter of my lung volume. And I thought, I'm a very stubborn patient. So I thought, okay, I'm just going to exercise it away, but it wouldn't go away. And then eventually I had it checked. And, the thing was, they couldn't find anything. They couldn't find any bacteria or fungi or nothing in my lungs. So I got the chronic rejection as a default diagnosis because they couldn't find anything else. So, and they treated it that way. And of course, I was terrified. I mean, chronic lung rejection, and I already had lost 1 liter of my lung function. I thought, okay, that's now the beginning of the end. And they treated me. They basically just wanted to stop the rejection and keep my lung function where it was at that time. And I was terrified. And then my husband came up with the idea. He was like, instead of sitting here whining about it, why don't you, what you always do, just do something about it, like start running again. And I thought, like, running. I mean, I couldn't really run. But yeah, while I was still in the hospital getting the IV treatment for the chronic rejection, I started running running. I ran like a minute and then I walked 2 minutes and a minute and walked 2 minutes. But I felt a little bit better. I cheated myself into believing, you can still move. You cannot be that sick. So kind of also to get my mind off this topic that I'm gonna die soon. And and then I signed up with a friend for a half marathon half a year later. And we did it. We ran the half marathon in, I think, 2.5 hours. So not bad at all.
Wow. No.
Yeah. And a year later, I had all my lung function back. So I don't know if it was my stubbornness or it was the wrong diagnosis. But definitely the exercise, the just not giving up and making myself believe in my body again, that helped me get through that.
So you did not have to have a second transplant?
No, thank God not.
And then in between your first transplant 16 or 17 years earlier and this scare of rejection, did you feel like you were so healthy and doing so well? Was that a time of amazing, like, mental and physical growth for you?
Oh, you mean the year before and after the supposedly chronic rejection?
Yeah, all that time. That was many years after you got your transplant.
Yeah, I think I slowly grow into this. The first year post my lung transplant was just also not so good. There were all the time setbacks and also big ones that, got me again scared that I might not make it through. But slowly, I think I also grew back into trusting my body again. That, having the feeling like, okay, I am transplanted, but I'm also healthy. I can do this. My body can do this. And I would say a big portion of that was, that I exercise a lot. Yeah. That always gave me a good feeling. Like, okay, I can run a 5K. I have to be healthy. So that was good. And, also slowly getting back into a normal routine again. Like, I went back to study after my transplant. I have a degree in psychology and just, being normal. I don't know, doing normal stuff that a normal, 25-year-old or then a 30-year-old would do. That also helped me. It helped me not being concentrated all the time on, that I might get sick or I might not be able to do this or, how long am I going to live? No, I was so busy concentrating on living that.
And that is amazing. And I also think, even especially when my girls are sick with complications of CF, but also when they're healthy, I mean, life is in perspective, right? You are always like, I can't even think about that gossipy thing somebody's talking about or whatever it is. And I'm sure you also felt that way.
Yeah, because that's what we are doing it for, right? We are fighting for normal. Yeah. And all the benign things, they are also normal. I don't know. Somebody asked me once, like, oh my God, you must be all the time so grateful. And of course I am. I am extremely grateful. But then I'm also annoyed if somebody in front of me, I don't know, doesn't drive fast enough. All this stupid stuff. Because that's
Because we're
normal.
human. Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm grateful that I am in such good health that I can actually get annoyed about stupid stuff.
That's true. That is like freeing and life affirming, really, because it's normal. Absolutely. So you're in Germany, growing up in Germany. How was that? I mean, now you live in Colorado. Tell us why you moved here and what life in Germany was like, and even the CF care, if there's a difference.
So why I moved here is as boring as it comes because of the job of my husband. So that's basically why we moved to the US. In 2000, we moved here in 2009. And in 2020, we actually also became citizens. So we are now
Congrats.
I would say in general, the quality of the care, I would say, is is similar. But the system is different, right? In Germany, you are insured through the country, through the state. And that means everybody has health insurance. Like, for example, I didn't have to pay for my transplant, which is, of course, a big deal for anybody who grows up in
Right.
America and needs to have a transplant. So all my treatment was always free. You also have a co-payment, but it's minimal. But then on the other hand, you also wait, like, I don't know. When we came to the US, my first doctor's visit in the US, I sat down, I think for the pulmonary function test, and there was a sign on the counter that said, if your name hasn't been called in 10 minutes, please check back with us. And I think I even took a picture of it, because in Germany, it would be like, if nobody called your name for 2 hours, don't dare come ask us why, because, just keep waiting. And
That's
I mean,
hilarious.
my experience from Germany is, of course, like 20 years past. I assume it is still the same. So that was nice here in the US that it goes faster. And also, at least from my past experience from Germany and from my experience here I feel more like you are treated more like a customer. Like, if I say, oh, I don't want this, or I want it different, then the doctor is ready to listen. It's like, okay, what don't you want? What can we do differently? Can I explain to you? In Germany, at least when I was still there, it was more like, no, I'm the doctor and I tell you what is going to happen. And I didn't like that at all. I always had problems with this because I'm the patient. It's my body. I decide, not my doctor decides. So, yeah, I think as long as you are insured, right? And can afford being insured, obviously, I would definitely prefer the system in the US than in Germany.
Yeah. And there's so many things we could talk about in regard to that. Just how things are covered here. It's so different. We definitely need a system that's a combination, I think, of both countries. This country has some benefits, the other system has some benefits, and we need like some kind of something in the middle, because the bills for people in the US, as we know, are insanely expensive.
This is also things in the US, they cost an insane amount of money, where you think like, how did you came up with this price tag? This is also, it's so, I don't know, the prices are just crazy. Also compared to Germany, just an X-ray or something. I think like, okay, this is a little crazy.
There's a lot of work to do between insurance and everything. We really have to fix that structure. It's a great system, but it's not taking really great financial care of the patient, I would say. But I want to get back to you and a much happier topic than insurance and other stuff related to healthcare coverage, even though obviously that's really important and critical, and we talk about it all the time in other podcasts. But tell us, you're in Germany. We want to hear the story of when you met your husband and if he knew about cystic fibrosis and that whole journey.
So I'm in Germany. I am almost 3 years post my transplant, I think. Yeah, I'm still in university and I'm out with friends clubbing. One of my friends, one of my friends from university, she had birthday. So we went out. And at that point, I was at a point where I was like, I don't need any guy in my life. I'm done. That was probably the best mood to be in. Anyway, and then I see this guy and he eventually comes over and talks to me, but it's in English, right? And I mean, everybody in Germany knows English, but my English was not good. I could understand, but I could barely talk, I would say. Yeah, and he was talking to me and then asking for my number. And I thought, I can't even make it work in German. How on earth am I going to make it work in English when I can't even say what I want to say? And then I didn't want to give him just my number and then send SMS forth and back. I mean, text messages.
Mm-hmm.
So I told him, you know what? I give you my name. And if it's important enough for you, you find my phone number in the phone book. And that was my landline phone number at that time. Still had, landline.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and that's what I did. And he actually called me the next day. And then I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do now? And we kind of talked for an hour on the phone and I was still not sure. And then he asked me, oh, can I invite you for dinner? And then I thought, okay, I already talked to him for an hour. It would be rude to say no now. And yeah, when we went out for dinner and the rest is history, I would say.
So who is this?
This is not my husband.
Who is that?
This is my uncle from my mother's side.
Okay.
His name was Ingo. So he died, I think 7 days before I was born.
Oh,
Yes.
that's when you're okay. Got it. So I'm holding the book open. If you're just listening to the audio podcast, and there's a picture of Ingo in the summer of 78. And I was just, making that connection. But tell us about your uncle.
He knew, of course, that I was on my way to be born, and he had cancer, so he died of cancer. And he actually left me like a letter just to say hi to the niece that he would most likely never meet. And I got this letter. I don't remember when I got it. But obviously it's been with me all this time. And when I wrote my memoir, I wanted to incorporate this in it because he thought, okay, Inka is going to be born and she's going to be healthy and has a healthy life, not like him, who also had to go through a lot of hospital visits and chemotherapy and all this stuff. And that always made me a little bit sad that he thought that is going to happen and then it didn't. And then when I was waiting for my transplant, because of this waiting time weighing so much on me, I wrote him letters. I basically wrote diary, but I wrote often to him just to leave my stuff somewhere, to dump it off somewhere and not burden anyone I knew with it. So I just wrote it to him. And then he also, right after my transplant, when I was still in the ICU and not really having a clear thought, he kind of visited me in my dreams. And I didn't realize back then that it was him. And then later on, when I was clear in my head again, I told my mom about it. And then she said, oh my God, I'm sure that was Ingo, her brother.
Oh.
So that's why he has a special place in the book and in my heart, obviously.
It is a beautiful story and wonderful, wonderful, sad that he died, but a wonderful connection that he made with you that lasted all this time is wonderful. And it must have made your mom so happy.
It did. Yeah, it did. She was like, when she saw what I was writing, I think it was very touching. Also, Ingo's wife, she was very moved. She's still alive. So, yeah.
Oh, that is a wonderful, wonderful story. And jumping back in time again, so back to your husband, he calls you, you decide to go on a date.
Oh, yeah, you were asking if he knew about cystic fibrosis, right? I skipped over that.
That's okay. No.
No, of course he had no idea. And that is a tricky thing. I think every CF patient knows this. When do you tell this kind of stuff? I mean, obviously, when you just meet someone, nobody immediately lists all their bad things and to see if the other person is still going to stick around. But when is too early? When is too late? So I think it was like the second date or something we had. And then I kind of was like, I had an operation and I had an organ transplant. I think I didn't talk so much about cystic fibrosis then because that was more on my mind, the transplant at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my luck was that the best friend of my husband, his mom was paralyzed from the neck down. And his dad was healthy and everything, but they fell in love. And his dad decided, no, this is the woman I want, even though she is severely handicapped. And she had 2 kids, even though also doctors told her you cannot have children with your
Wow.
condition. And so my husband grew up, was a lot with their family and saw how it is to have, somebody who's not 100% healthy in the family. And then also his dad had a few strokes. He unfortunately died before I met my husband. But yeah, he had a few strokes and he was in a wheelchair. And still my husband traveled with his mom and dad throughout whole Europe, wheelchair or not. So yeah, he was just like, yeah, we make it happen. So he was very, straightforward with this and had some experience. And I think that helped. Yeah. I think when we got to the point so my husband wanted kids, and obviously I always thought, well, I'm not going to have any kids because that's not going to happen. I think that was the only moment when he thought, is this the right person I want to be with? But he couldn't find anybody better.
Of course
He
not.
stuck around.
Thank goodness. I'm so glad.
Me too.
So you decide, okay, the kid thing, you're not running away from that, but also it's a real journey. I think it's easier for CF patients now than it was when you were trying. Am I right?
Yes. This I'm not 100% sure, but I know there is multiple CF patients who actually had babies. I know from one person, I don't know where I heard the story, but she only realized that she had CF when she was like in her 50s. And then when a doctor told her, the doctor said like, oh yeah, and and it's 50 anyway, but he said, you cannot have children. And she already had 3. So I thought that was pretty funny. CF, I don't know, but when me and my husband were thinking about getting pregnant, the main component was not the cystic fibrosis, it was the transplant, because nobody ever had a child after a double lung and liver transplant. I mean, there are obviously people have babies after a liver transplant that, as far as I know, is not such a big deal. But then there were also patients who had a baby post a lung transplant, most of them because of CF. And there the results are, not horrible, but also not the best. So there can be a lot of complications. You can have a rejection. The baby can be premature or from the medication. So the list of things that can happen is just endless. And that's why when I came up with the idea to try it, my doctors were like, no, that was just absolutely not.
And how did you change their mind? Or did you just tell them? Yeah.
I didn't change their mind. So it was like this. My husband was all pro, but also my husband never experienced me sick. He saw me post my transplant. So I don't think he had an understanding of how bad it can get or how bad it was. And of course, I was terrified. I didn't want to get pregnant and then die and then be the stupid one who threw away a healthy life. So yeah, I just couldn't decide. And then we had one doctor. It was the only one of, what is the name of the hospital? Jewish something in St. Louis. Barnes Jewish.
Okay.
Barnes Jewish Hospital in St. Louis. There was one doctor and he said, you know what? We can talk about it. You are very healthy. You are very active. I was already maybe 8 or 9 years post-transplant. So, and that was all I needed, this we can talk about it, that I thought, okay, this is a yes. So, and then unfortunately, we moved to Dallas. And I have to say, my doctors at UT Southwestern, well, one doctor was absolutely against it. And the other doctor, she was a woman. I think she more understood the wish to have a baby. And then eventually we just decided we're gonna give it a try. I mean, was I terrified? Yes. Was I worried it will hit me in the face? Yes. But, yeah, eventually we knew the risk. My husband knew the risks. I knew the risks. And yeah, I just said, okay.
And you did it, and obviously successful because you have a son.
I'm now played with a preteen. He is 12 years old now.
Wow. Does he yet understand how lucky he is to have you and your husband? But I mean, does he understand cystic fibrosis as well as a 12-year-old can?
Yes. As well as a 12-year can, and as well as a 12-year-old cares. Yes, he does. Yeah.
And so would you say you made it through the pregnancy okay?
Yeah. So I got pregnant, and then when we had a positive pregnancy test, my husband was over the moon, and I was like, let's wait how long I'm actually going to be pregnant, because I was like, I don't know if my body can pull this off. So I was very, let's take it one day after another. In the beginning of the pregnancy, I had an almost bowel obstruction. This is one of my absolute pet peeves, bowel obstruction.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it went away. I went walking like to loosen it up, and eventually it went away. The only real complication we had was towards the end. So the baby was growing and was pushing bowel and everything upwards. And from inner scar tissue, from all the operations I had, the bowel was stuck by inner scar tissue, probably to the abdominal wall. So the baby was pushing it up, but the bowel couldn't move up because it was stuck. And that was pain. I mean, I experienced a few bowel obstructions, but that was pain. I couldn't even wiggle my toes without having pain. So I think it was like, I think I still had at least a month to go. And then we went to the hospital, and they gave me morphine for the night for me to sleep. And then the next morning, I couldn't stay on morphine for the rest of my pregnancy. So the next morning, I just went back home. I mean, I walked like 100-year-old. I could barely walk. And yeah, we just went home and I was like, well, you have to just get through it. And then it got better. And then eventually, probably what happened, the scar tissue ripped, because eventually it was gone.
Wow. It really is amazing how much you've been through and how much you could take mentally and how much your body could take, because that's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's just,
right.
When you're in it, right, I don't know. Afterwards, when I wrote the memoir, I was also sometimes like, oh my God, that you went through this, but yeah.
Okay. And this book, The Anomaly, Living Off Donated Organs and Dark Humor. I love the cover. I mean, this book, it's so good. And I wrote down the chapter names. I think these chapter names are great. This is bullshit, crappy New Year, Last Will and Testament, My Second Year. And there's so many more. And it's a good, fast read, which is wonderful. I like the way you bring in your parents and what they say. Can you say that it was fun to write this book, or how was that process?
Yes and no. I mean, a lot of the stuff also I had to my mom always had calendars. She wrote down everything. So she sent me her calendar so I could go through when was what happening. So, over the years, it kind of blurs. That's my Dexcom.
Oh, very important.
1 second. Yeah, exactly.
And for anyone who doesn't know what the Dexcom is, it's for diabetes, CFRD. Yeah.
All good.
All good? Okay, great. Yay.
Yeah, so she sent me the calendars and just to piece it all together. And yeah, most of the things I could just write down, but there were a few things that even still today get me very emotional. When the ambulance picks me up and brings me to the airport to be flown to my hospital for the transplant, and then I say goodbye to my dad, and I don't know if I will see him again. So that's still like oh, yeah, these kind of situations, they were not fun to write, but on the other hand, it's also good to write because you get it off your soul.
It's therapeutic. Reliving it, I guess. Did that help you? Was it, like I suggested, therapeutic and kind of like enabled you to work through everything? Did it help your parents?
Yeah, I would say so. Yes. Also reading it. I always joke. I was like, well, you can read it. There's a happy ending. So, you don't need to cry. Yeah, but I think for them and for my friends and yeah, also for me. I mean, yes, it's just also interesting to reflect back on it from a healthy point of view. Like, yeah, all these thoughts that I had and also that I felt like this is the biggest injustice in the history of world that I have to wait 15 months for my transplant. And it's also interesting to see, to see yourself in this, to see, oh yeah, this is my personality. I'm very impatient and I'm very stubborn. And, yeah, to see and also to realize, yes, when I am fighting for my life, I'm not the most pleasant person to be around. And it's just, yeah, it is what it is. But if I have to fight, I don't have any space for being nice or gracious. And yeah, it is what it is. That's me. Yeah. And it's also interesting. Yeah. To see also for future things, I know I was preparing my husband for whatever might come. Yeah. I might not be the nicest, but yeah, that got me through.
And that's what you needed to do. And I wonder, like everybody always says, oh, childbirth can be so hard. But then you look back and you're like, it wasn't that bad. And you had another kid or whatever. Is it possible to look back on the lung transplant and everything you went through? I mean, it probably was that bad, but you obviously had to get through the other side.
I mean, you do forget a lot. And also the pain and this suffering, it also, I feel like, yeah, the memory of that smoothes over with time. That's why it was so interesting to write the memoir, because then I realized, oh my God, it was really horrible. But I have to say, after my transplant, like a few years after, I always said, I hope I have the strength to never do this again. So I said, like, I hope if I ever have to be retransplanted, I will be strong enough to say no. I rather die, because it was that hard. But then, of course, I became a mom. So now I will do it immediately again, just to have another week. But yeah, I think that still stays. I would never want to go through this again, because it was just awful from beginning to end. But then, yeah, for my kid, I would.
How are book sales doing? I know it just came out, but how are book sales doing? Where can people get the book?
So the book you can get anywhere. You can get on Amazon. On Amazon, you can also get it as an ebook. Nowhere else yet, because it's not set up yet. But you can also get it on Barnes and Noble. You can also order it from your local bookstore if you want. You can get it on bookshop.org. Anywhere, basically. I don't know how book sales are, because I'm afraid to look.
I get that. Give it more time. They've only just started.
And I will be on Friday, this upcoming Friday, I will be in Denver at the American Transplant Games. I know that is not a big deal for the cystic fibrosis community, but it's like the Olympic Games for transplant recipients. And
Yeah.
this year it's in Denver. So yeah,
Oh, your
I hope.
hometown.
Yeah, exactly. That was perfect timing. Yeah, I hope I will get some people interested there. Yeah.
That's wonderful. And what are your hopes for your future, your family's future, your son? Where do you go from here? You've written this book, and now what?
I know I published, I have a memoir published, but that is not my first book. I have 3 German books that are published. This is my first English book. So, and I'm still writing. So writing is my thing. I love to write. Yeah, the first English book happened to be my memoir. My deal is I will make it till the 18th birthday of my son. So that is 6 more years. And then I will renegotiate. If I still want to keep going, I'll keep going. But that is one of my biggest goals, to make it till his kind of adulthood. That would be amazing. And that's also what I hope for my son. I mean, he's now 12. He will definitely remember me. But yeah, I just hope, there will be many more memories that he will have once I'm not there anymore, because I'm now in December, I will be transplanted 24 years. That means I will have lived longer with my spare part than with my original part. And yeah, I mean, nobody knows how long it's still gonna go. So yeah, that's just what I hope, to leave memories behind for him, so he can, think back and has an idea who his mom was, and that we had fun, no matter how long the time was.
Absolutely. We're planning on a long life for you. I mean, you're 47 now?
I'm 40. Yes.
I love you're not sure. That's
47.
such a beautiful thing. Yeah.
That is crazy. I never thought I would reach 47. My God, I'm nearing the 50s. Oh, lady, I want to mention this just because I'm also self-conscious about it. Since yesterday, I still had hair. I shaved it off yesterday, but it's not, I have skin cancer on my scalp. So it's not
Oh,
as bad
geez.
as it looks.
Okay. And, cancer, I think it's important to mention, though, once you have a transplant, it is more common to get various types of cancer. And that's one of the massive side effects of transplantation. I'm sorry you're going through that.
As long as I just have to go through skin cancer, I'm fine with it. I mean, it's not fun to have pieces of your scalp cut off, because I already did that. But, I can live with that. And I never had that pretty hair anyway, so it's fine as well.
I don't know. I think you did. I saw the pictures I saw, your hair looked pretty to me. So, well, is there anything else that you want to add about your memoir, or anything else that we talked about?
I hope many people will be interested in reading it. If you read it, it would be awesome if you can leave anywhere a review. It doesn't even need to be in written. It can just be how many stars you would give the book. That helps authors a lot. And I just hope, if you like it, to tell others about it.
Well, we are telling other people about it. And I like everything about it. Honestly, I like the size of it. I like the print. I like it. It's a great book. I mean, your writing.
Thank you.
It's so good. People are going to love it.
I hope so. Took me a long time.
How long?
Oh no, to write the book was like a year.
Okay.
It was fairly fast. But to be able to write like this in English, I tried a few times, and then I realized, no, I cannot express myself in English as I can express myself in German. But after reading a gazillion English books, I was finally there.
Well, great job. Great work. So proud of you, and glad we got to share your story. You've been through so much, and you're such an inspiration that I really appreciate everything. And we're looking forward to being able to have you on another podcast years down the road when you figure out whatever your next thing is. We're
When my
here
kid
for
is
it.
out of the house.
Yeah, college.
Oh God, yeah. And that's also what I hope, right? The story is so, I mean, not to tap myself on the shoulder, but it's really incredible. So I just want to, give hope to others. Like, you can be all the way down, but it's always, worth fighting because you don't know what you're going to get out of it. And even in the darkest hours, you don't know what is going to happen. So and also to believe in yourself. And even if doctors tell you this is not possible, that is not possible, this is never going to happen, you know what is possible and what can happen. So believe in yourself.
Absolutely. And I think storytelling is the most important thing that we can do, really, to leave our stories for others to get something out of it, and to be able to connect, relate to it, get growth from it, be inspired. It's just the most important thing that we can do. So thank you for sharing who
Thank
you
you.
are and everything you've done and your life. And I really appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me and reading my book and being excited.
Yay! Everyone else is going to be excited too, so go out and get that book, The Anomaly, by Inka Nisinbaum. Did I pronounce it correctly?
You
Awesome.
did it right.
Great. Thank you. And before we wrap it up, John, our fabulous producer, please tell everyone where to buy our fabulous merchandise, t-shirts, jewelry, and bandanas for your pets.
Well, Laura, you can just go to the bonnellfoundation.org/shop. That's the BONNELL foundation.org/shop. Or just hit the link in our show notes.
The original music in this podcast is performed by Kevin Allen.
It's not complicated.
Who happens to have cystic fibrosis.
We all got our worries and fears. I know it's got you frustrated. But loving you is so alright.
This has been the Living with Cystic Fibrosis podcast. For more information and to learn more about the Bonnell Foundation, visit our website at thebonnellfoundation.org. That's the BONNELL foundation.org. This podcast was sponsored by Vertex Pharmaceutical, the science of possibility, and Viatris. It was produced by JAG Podcast Productions. Follow our show for free on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you're listening right now.